Hey guys, bachphotography here, and today we're looking at a portrait session I did at the golden hour at the beach with model Storm Brooks Hamilton. And in this video we're going to be looking at how to shoot beautiful warm portraits by shooting a couple hours before sunset. So a quick rundown of all the equipment we're going to be using in this shoot today. I was using a Canon 5D Mark IV DSLR camera and a Sigma 50mm 1.4 art lens. And there'll be links to all the equipment used in this photo shoot in the description. So this is the photo that we're going to be focusing on today, and we're going to run through all of the specs the camera was on when this photo was taken, the lighting conditions of the environment when the photo was taken, and then also we're going to jump into Photoshop and do all the post-production as well. So this photo was taken at an aperture of f2, and that was to really blow out the background. We wanted this photo to look as creamy and warm and smooth as possible, so having an aperture as low as f2 meant that the background would be nice and blurry, which I think makes a portrait look more warm and dreamy. So we were at shutter speed of 1/320th of a second, and that was a shutter speed fast enough for me to freeze any action that Storm, our model, was using. So when we were doing this photo shoot, she was moving around a little bit, trying a few different poses, so we kept the shutter speed nice and high just so we could freeze any action shots. And we used an ISO of 200 because that's a nice low ISO, and it perfected the exposure in the image. So the reason we shot 2 hours before sunset is because that's when the sun is in its lowest position, and that means that you get a really beautiful golden light all around in your environment. And the way that we set up the lighting conditions in this photo is we made sure that the sun was directly behind and then to the left of Storm, and when we shot in a direction where the sun was always behind her and to the left. And the reason we did that is because it meant that the background sky was all very warm and very brightly lit, which we think is very aesthetically pleasing, but it also meant that we got a little bit of golden rim light on Storm's hair as well. Okay, so now we're in Camera Raw in Photoshop, and we're just going to look at the unedited image, and as you can see here there's some really nice rim light going on in Storm's hair, and you can see all the background is nice and warm and bright. So the first thing we're going to do with this image is we're just going to add a little bit of clarity to the entire thing just to make the whole image pop, and then we're going to really reduce the highlights, and that's really just to bring out this beautiful golden light in the background of the image. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to drop the shadows just a little bit, add maybe a little bit of contrast as well, and drop the whites just slightly. And the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to add a little bit more exposure into Storm's face, just because it was getting a little dark towards the end of our photo shoot and her face was just a little bit underexposed. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drop exposure, shadows and blacks. I'm going to use this tool here just as a masking tool for smoothing her skin. And basically what we're doing here is just highlighting all the areas of her face that we want to smooth out, just to make her skin look a little bit more smooth and a little bit more perfect. Just making sure not to go over any contrasting lines that we want to keep sharp, for example her eyes, lips and nose. Alright, so once we've done that we can bring back the exposure, shadows and blacks, and then just drop down the clarity to a level that we think looks appealing. So I think about there is good. You don't want to go too far down with this because then it just starts making the skin look a little bit strange. But just about 30 points. We might not go down that far, we might go down to 25 points for this one. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to make her eyes pop a little bit, just adding a little bit of exposure and a little bit of clarity. You don't want to go too crazy with this because you will make your model look like she has laser beam eyes, but just adding a little bit more brightness and contrast and clarity can really make the image pop. That looks good. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is just going to add a little bit more darkness into the eyebrows and also into the eyelashes as well. So just dropping the exposure very slightly, and then we'll put the rest of the settings onto 0, and just adding a little bit more to the dark parts of her features. Yep, I think that's pretty much everything in Camera Raw. One more thing we'll just quickly do is add a little bit more darkness to the hair up here. And that's pretty much it. We might actually just add a little bit more exposure to her face. Just 0.2 of a stop, just to make it a little bit more bright. Perfect. Alright, now we'll jump into Photoshop. The first thing we'll do is just get rid of any imperfections we can see in the skin. Now Storm actually has really awesome skin, so there's not really that much to do here. Alright, that's pretty much everything. So next what we'll do is we'll make a selection of our model here. And then once we have a selection, we'll go to Select up here and Inverse. And Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we're just going to blur out the background a little bit more. Then we're going to move the selection over a little bit and do another blur, just so we don't have any hard lines where the blurs start and finish. And that's just to draw a little bit more focus to the subject. Alright, and I think that's everything, so thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. I'm going to be producing a lot more content like this in the future. And once again, thank you very much for watching.